The message arrived on a Tuesday morning, disrupting every communication system on Earth simultaneously. It was elegant in its simplicity, a mathematical sequence followed by coordinates pointing to the edge of the solar system. Humanity had waited millennia for this moment, and when it finally came, the response was surprisingly unified. Within hours, world leaders had agreed to send a single vessel to the designated meeting point. Captain James Walker stood on the bridge of the UNS Horizon, humanity's most advanced spacecraft. Though he suspected it would seem primitive compared to whoever was waiting for them, his crew of 12 represented Earth's finest minds and steadiest nerves. They had trained for this possibility, but nothing could truly prepare someone for being humanity's first ambassadors to the stars. Contact in visual range. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced from her station. Through the viewport, an elegant vessel materialized against the backdrop of stars. It was beautiful in its alien geometry, all flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to shift between solid and translucent. The alien ship was smaller than Walker had expected, perhaps half the size of the Horizon. As they approached, a docking tunnel extended from the visitor's hull, clearly an invitation. Walker felt the weight of history on his shoulders as he led a small team through the airlock. The beings waiting for them were humanoid enough to be recognizable as living creatures, but different enough to be undeniably alien. They stood 7 feet tall with elongated limbs and skin that had a subtle luminescent quality. Their faces bore 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and when they spoke, it was through a translation device that rendered their words in perfect, if formal, English. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the lead alien said, inclining its head slightly. "I am Ambassador Crix of the Galactic Council. We have traveled far to make this historic contact with your species." Walker returned the gesture. "Captain James Walker, representing the United Nations of Earth. We are honored by your visit." Crix gestured to a chamber where seats had been modified to accommodate human anatomy, a thoughtful touch that Walker appreciated. As they settled in, the ambassador began what was clearly a prepared speech. "The Galactic Council consists of 47 spacefaring civilizations," Crix explained. "We have monitored your radio emissions for decades, waiting for the appropriate moment to initiate contact. Your species has reached the technological threshold we require for membership consideration." Walker nodded, though something in the alien's tone suggested there was more to this visit than a simple invitation. "We are grateful for the opportunity. May I ask what this membership would entail?" "The Council facilitates trade, shares knowledge, and most importantly, provides protection," Crix said. "The galaxy can be dangerous for young civilizations. There are threats that a single species cannot face alone. Rogue artificial intelligences, planet-killer asteroids, aggressive species that refuse Council authority." The conversation continued for hours, with Crix painting a picture of a galaxy teeming with life but also fraught with dangers. The Council, it seemed, was a benevolent protectorate, shepherding younger races until they could contribute meaningfully to galactic civilization. "Your species shows remarkable potential," Crix said, producing a holographic display. "Your mathematics and physics understanding is impressive for your developmental stage. With Council guidance, humanity could advance centuries in mere decades." Walker studied the hologram, which showed Earth surrounded by trade routes and defensive stations. "This is generous, Ambassador. But I must ask, what does the Council expect in return?" "Only cooperation and peaceful intent," Crix replied. "New members contribute what they can. Some provide rare resources, others offer unique cultural perspectives. Humanity's contribution would be determined after a full assessment." It was Lieutenant Rodriguez who asked the question that changed everything. She had been quietly working with her tablet throughout the meeting, running calculations and cross-referencing data from their sensors. "Ambassador," she said, "I'm curious about your ship's propulsion system. Our sensors show an interesting energy signature, but the output seems surprisingly low for interstellar travel." Crix's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. What Walker would later learn was surprise. "You can detect our engine signature? Your sensors must be more advanced than we assumed." "Yes, we use a standard quantum drive, though perhaps standard is not the right word for a species at your level." "Quantum entanglement-based?" Rodriguez pressed. "We've been working on something similar." The atmosphere in the room shifted. Crix leaned forward, all 4 eyes focused on Rodriguez. "Working on? You mean theoretically?" "Oh no," Rodriguez said, seemingly oblivious to the tension. "We have functional prototypes, The Horizon actually uses a hybrid system, though we kept the quantum drive offline for this meeting. We didn't want to interfere with your systems. Walker watched Crix carefully. The alien's luminescent skin had shifted to a different hue, possibly indicating emotional distress. That's impossible, Crix said slowly. Quantum drive technology requires centuries of development. Your first radio signals were sent barely more than 100 years ago. Dr. Peterson, the team's physicist, joined the conversation. Well, we had some advantages. Our planet's unique conditions, particularly our unusually strong magnetic field, made certain quantum phenomena easier to observe. We actually developed the theory in the early 21st century. It just took us a while to build the infrastructure. Crix stood abruptly, moving to the viewport to look at the horizon. Your ship. May we scan it more thoroughly? Walker nodded, seeing no harm in it. What followed was several minutes of increasingly agitated communication between Crix and his crew in their native language. Finally, the ambassador turned back to the humans. Your vessel carries weapons, Crix said. It wasn't a question. Defense systems, yes, Walker confirmed. We didn't know what to expect. Surely you understand the precaution. What kind of defense systems? Crix's voice had taken on an odd quality. Walker looked at his team, then made a decision. If they were going to join this galactic council, honesty would be essential. Directed energy weapons, kinetic railguns, and a complement of antimatter torpedoes. The silence that followed was deafening. When Crix spoke again, his voice was very quiet. Antimatter weapons are restricted technology. Only Council military vessels carry them, and only our most advanced members have developed them independently. We've been producing antimatter for decades, Dr. Peterson said, still not seeming to grasp the significance. It's expensive, but not particularly difficult with our current particle accelerators. Crix returned to his seat slowly, as if his legs couldn't quite support him. Captain Walker, I must ask you something, and I need complete honesty. Is the Horizon representative of your military capabilities? Walker considered his answer carefully. The Horizon is our most advanced vessel, but it's primarily an exploration ship. Our actual military vessels are more specialized. More specialized, Crix repeated. More powerful? Significantly, Walker admitted. The Horizon was built for first contact scenarios. We wanted something that could defend itself but wasn't overtly threatening. Crix was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, how many ships like this does Earth possess? Comparable to the Horizon? About 50. Military vessels of various classes? Several hundred. We've been expanding our fleet since we detected signs of intelligent life in the galaxy. The ambassador made what might have been a laugh, though it sounded more like despair. Several hundred ships with antimatter weapons and quantum drives. Captain, are you aware that the entire Council fleet consists of fewer than 1,000 vessels, spread across 47 species? The implications began to dawn on Walker and his team. Rodriguez looked up from her tablet where she had been running more calculations. Ambassador, based on your ship's energy signatures and what you've told us about the Council, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Crix gestured for her to continue. You came here thinking you were contacting a primitive civilization that had just developed radio, Rodriguez said. But we've been deliberately limiting our electromagnetic emissions for the past 30 years. We didn't want to appear threatening to any monitoring civilizations. Limiting? Crix's skin color shifted again. We developed efficient directed communications and better shielding, Rodriguez explained. Most of our signals now are either quantum encrypted or sent through focused beam transmissions. The only reason you can detect old radio signals is because they're still traveling through space from decades ago. Dr. Peterson added, we actually detected Council communications about 15 years ago. We've been preparing for contact ever since. You've been listening to our communications? Crix stood again, agitation clear in every movement. Not intentionally at first, Walker said, trying to calm the situation. But once we realized what we were detecting, yes. We wanted to be ready. We studied your languages, your protocols. That's why our translation systems are working so well. Crix moved back to the viewport, staring at the horizon with what Walker now recognized as fear. You've been preparing for 15 years. Building a fleet. Developing weapons. Studying us. Ambassador, Walker said gently, we prepared for contact, not for conflict. We built defenses because the universe seemed dangerous. Your own words confirm that. But humanity has no interest in conquest or aggression. No interest, Crix repeated. Captain, do you understand what you've told me? Your species, barely a century into the space age, has independently developed technology that most council members took millennia to achieve. You have a military fleet that could challenge a significant portion of our combined forces, and you did this in secret, while we thought you were barely managing to send signals into space. The full picture was becoming clear to everyone in the room. The Galactic Council hadn't come to welcome humanity into a larger community. They had come to offer protection to what they thought was a vulnerable, primitive species. Instead, they had discovered something else entirely. What happens now? Walker asked. Crix turned from the viewport, his skin cycling through several colors before settling. Now, Captain, I must return to the Council with information that will fundamentally change our understanding of humanity. You are not a species that needs protection. You may well be the most militarily powerful single species in the known galaxy. That was never our intention, Walker said. We just wanted to be ready for whatever we might find. And in doing so, you became something the galaxy hasn't seen in centuries, Crix said. A new power. The question now is not whether humanity will join the Council, but what the Council can offer that would interest you. Walker stood, extending his hand in the human gesture of friendship. The same thing we've always wanted, Ambassador. Knowledge, friendship, and peaceful coexistence. Our strength doesn't change our intentions. Crix studied the offered hand, then reached out with his longer arm to complete the gesture. I believe you, Captain, but others will fear you. Some will test you. The galaxy just became a very different place. As the meeting concluded and both crews prepared to depart, Walker stood on his bridge, watching the alien vessel power up its quantum drive. The pretty lights of its engines seemed somehow dimmer now, less mysterious. Humanity had crossed the threshold into the galactic community, but not as the junior partner everyone had expected. Captain, Rodriguez said, do you think we should have downplayed our capabilities? Walker shook his head. They would have found out eventually. Better to be honest from the start. Besides, I don't think we could have hidden it if we tried. We've been preparing for this moment without realizing we had already surpassed those we were preparing to meet. The horizon turned toward Earth, carrying news that would change everything. Humanity had made first contact, and in doing so, discovered that their careful preparation and rapid advancement had accidentally made them the galaxy's newest superpower. The universe suddenly seemed both smaller and more full of possibility than ever before. In the distance, Crix's ship disappeared in a flash of light, carrying its own message to the stars. Humanity was coming, and the galaxy would never be the same.